Okay. Hello, Bojana and Ivana.
Hello.
Maybe we can hear you talk a little bit about the idea behind the Mending Invisibles project and how did you unfold it to this summer school in practice, to this place, to Alviela, to the surroundings. Yeah, that would be.
So first to say, we don't think of mending the invisible as a project, but as a practice. And it's invisible in singular. The name or how we call this practice is in singular. We started it, I think the first ideas were 2023, and we started concretely to develop it in 2024. First in the city of Ljubljana, and then in the city of Grenoble in France. And actually we were interested with Bojana to develop, let's say, heterogeneous formats to think about the notion of common and to create a practice that would be collaborative, that would be collective, that would be reflexive and artistic at the same time, and that would have different formats that question this problematic of how do we engage in commons, how do we recreate them, how do we think of them in today's, let's say, socio-political context, and how can we actually work artistically without necessarily creating a product. So offering some kind of indeed practice to different kind of people, persons that we can share, develop and experience together.
And this is also related to this difference between project and practice, because we were exploring a different temporality. We wanted to work on something which would actually relate between different people, places, human, non-human activities, but at the same time it would not have this projective logic that we are all oriented towards a specific goal, but that we really open up kind of an access into another temporality. And what was also for us very important is to find this temporality not only for our work, but also for ourselves, to develop a collaboration where we could also meet and actually really explore another temporality of how can we work together.
And very concretely, if we talk about the temporality, for example, the practice we are having in Ljubljana started in spring 2024 and is still ongoing. And it will probably last for something like 2 years. In Grenoble, we were actually concentrating on a time of a year. And then we see how within this temporality, this time frame, we can actually create some kind of dramaturgy of meetings, of sharings, of I don't know, the development of some of the ideas, and we use a map, which is an embroidered map of the city, as a kind of log, as a kind of place which is taking in or holding together all those different moments, so to say. And yeah.
Now we are very often saying that we have a kind of a third thing together, all of us who participate in this, and this is the map. So map is something around which we not just organize, but which also somehow is always there when we share. It is also, we are responsible for the map and so on. So there is something very interesting. And at the same time, of course, the map is also something with which people from a specific city or inhabitants can very easily connect when they are collecting stories about the city and about their living there. So it's a kind of a simple way of how to translate, but on another side also it produces a lot of different dynamics and temporalities, how it can be then created together and what we can do with it. How do we share and how do we also bring this map in different contexts and deal with them?
maybe to make it a bit more clear, like what is represented on a map, on a map which is embroidered. This is also important, and because embroidery is taking time.
Yeah.
It's not, these maps are not reproducible. In that sense, it's an artwork or the work of artisanal practice, and it's a collective work. The embroidery is always done by something like 100 people or more than 100 people through different sessions. It's not given to the hands of a specialist, but it's done by the participants. So just to maybe a little bit go back, why we decided to do it collectively like this is because we were busy with the notion of care, with the notion of a community, and with the notion of imagination and the sense of repairing. Okay, so maybe we have to first go into the also the idea of mending and not repairing. We decided to use that word because the word repairing was already quite a lot used by some kind, let's say, by dominant media, by architectural bureau, by urban planners, by the cities, etc. So it kind of proposed some big scale, in which often specialists are dealing or offering their knowledge in order to do something for the city or for the community. Mending contains the idea of do-it-yourself, of a small stitching, or you can mend a dress, but you can mend a coffee machine, you can mend, and that's something that is very hands-on. It is possible to do it even if you are an amateur. It's so there is some sort of immediacy also, and in that sense it performs in another realm of ecology, another realm of care, and another realm of let's say being together and creative a common, than the idea of repairing, which is more institutionally used.
And also it allows a kind of continuous repetition. People with different knowledges can mend. There is no expertise, maybe some know more, some less, but doesn't matter. So there's something really what is also connected to everyday experience and everyday way of how we organize life. And I think in that way we wanted to really open up this with the idea of mending and bring other perspectives inside.
And this also makes us very autonomous in a way, and in our practice of mending the invisible. So we have many things that we came across, many questions we came across, we have never came across before. But we used common sense. Also, we used a lot of listening, and of course our knowledge from before, in order to kind of create maybe, let's say, new perspectives of seeing what is common, how can it be revisited, or how can it be carried further, or how can we get to create new commons together, maybe. And also I think it's important that through doing that, apart from a map, we are also doing very concrete actions in the city where we are working on. And at the end, we are also, in order to bring it closer to the larger amount of people, we are doing a performance in which we are in some way narrating every time our process. Okay. And so maybe now we can actually, while this is kind of being laid out, talk a bit how then we took all those methodological issues and questions and created, let's say, a particular a frame of working and researching for here.
That is kind of really a connected but also different context, because of course before we were always working in the city, and what is also very important, we were working with other artists, local artists from the city. So Mending the Invisible in Ljubljana and Grenoble was done always together, collectively, with people who are artists who are really located in that cities and were working with us. And of course, it seems on the first sight that it's much easier to collect stories about the city if you are working with the urban environment and so on. And for us here, this invitation was also very challenging to actually engage with the environment which is not urban, to actually engage with so-called nature, with other questions, but also to work with group of people who does not come from the same city, who have maybe very different backgrounds. Mm-hmm. So how can we use this methodology of collecting the story, revisiting, retelling, actually in a very different context than we did before? And that was actually a very interesting invitation also for us to see if that kind of practice can work in an environment like here. And what I think it's super nice is, of course, that the problems actually are the same. There is always this big question of what is a common, mm-hmm. and the question of what is a common in an environment like that. At the first sight, maybe we can say, yeah, of course, we have something in common. It's our relation to natural environment, but when we try to revisit it with our common imagination, we also see that we have very different relations to it. And I think what for us in this process was very challenging and very nice is to find together with the group, like, not just what is the common, but how we make a common together. Mm-hmm. And I think that's something what also came from Mending the Invisible in both cities, that of course the city is the common, but we actually make a city a common. When we are engaging with it, sharing stories and so on, the city then becomes really something else than maybe it was at the beginning.
And maybe then we when we arrived here, it was not exactly clear what is this going to be. But then we came back to a practice that Bojana and I are doing since now a while, and that we used a lot in our collaboration, is the practice of walking. And because in Alviela and in this region there are those trails, mm-hmm. okay? Mm-hmm. So the proposition was that we really go and experience the practice of walking in this very concrete environment, the environment that has a certain geological reality, that contains different kind of species that inhabit this area. And basically, through this practice of walking on a specific trail every day, we started to have a common. And this common was both in time spent together on the same road, and also let's say the road itself, you know, like noticing what trees are growing there, noticing animals, noticing humans, let's say alteration, the road, all those different things that we talked about, and also noticing how do we grow as a collective, as a collectivity, as a group within this practice of walking. You see what I mean? So because we didn't, okay, this is not our city, this is not our space, but because we were living it together again and again, it became our experience. And through this experience, we could need a sense and notion of common. And so we use it as a physical space, as a journey, but we also use it as a metaphorical, as a fantastical, as a magical, as a fictional space. Okay, so basically this trail, which has a beginning and which has an end, and which we repeated every single day in the same way, became also our map, became our city, became the space through which we started mending, okay? And we started mending different kind of injustices. We were mending our gaze. We were mending our sense of listening. We were mending our sense of interdependence. We were observing, I don't know how, with very few resources, we can create something meaningful. Or we were also mending our capacity to let go
and to collaborate.
and to collaborate.
Actually, how are we together? I think it came very much out how we were mending actually and listening and developing ways in the practices of being together with each other and listening to each other. And this is a very short time span, but still it's very, very important. And I also think that it's a kind of the way how we were inhabiting this road is also that because we were revisiting it, it's a very situational way of how to experience the road. So we don't search for the experience or go towards a specific experience, but actually really to bring body into the road and the situation with other bodies to see how through a different kind of inhabitation, revisiting, also our relationalities change and what comes out of it. So how do we listen to each other? So that is also a very important part of the process. And of course, I think it has a lot to do also with the ways how it was also in previous, in Ljubljana and Grenoble, because we were continuously revisiting what we heard, what we did, what we experienced. So there is something very, very important in that, because with that also you limit down a kind of amount of stimuli. Let's go there, this experience. But actually city is endless, the nature is also endless. So I think this kind of limitation then also brings us together to really deal with that, what we maybe have in common or imagine to have in common or wish to have in common, or also maybe question to have in common. So this is also a very important part of the work, what we did on the road. Yeah.
It is maybe also important to say that these methodologies, or like to say the ways of working that we have been developing in the longer temporal span, like in Ljubljana or Grenoble, helped us to find the format which is very condensed form of 5 days in the context of this workshop. But I feel that in a way, like most essential elements of the research in those two cities were really present here. And they were maybe turning slightly to a different kind of community, because we were only 15 of us, and we were constantly being the walkers, the listeners, the spectators, the performers. I mean, we were doing it all kind of, but we also did like similar steps that we did into previous versions. That the first would be like laying down the contour of the space that we're gonna mend, like the city, and this time is the road. Establishing some kind of practice through which we will be able to do it, which is in this case, walking, and then establishing a certain amount of mending actions, and then translating them inside of a map. And then talking about this in a performance, which we might also do here. But
we'll see,
so somehow we find a way to put all those elements in a very condensed way also in this process. And it's very beautiful because it creates, let's say, a collaborative way of working, but which is a very kind of focused and concrete, which means that we work on on something that already is in a form of partition, in a form of a choreographic score somehow, but it's very open, and every single participant can bring in new input, new questions. You see, it can be appropriated with this very particular group of people, which is a group of people that has different practices within performing arts, which has different backgrounds in terms of also language or, you know, like where they are coming from, different age. And this was really, it was very interesting how with all this we managed to create another common, which is kind of language that we started develop together. You know?
And it is a common that it's not based on consensus or in taking one perspective over the other. So it's it's a common built upon difference as well, and
Yes.
Of the different participants, right?
Different participants, different perspectives, different revisiting. It's very interesting in the sense how it appears, but there is a kind of common responsibility for that also. Like it kind of comes because of course a caring, because of course we build relationalities not only to each other but also to the space. I think it's a lot also related to the kind of responsibility towards the space. So yes, that's exactly what happens. And of course we have this, I think it's very important that there is always this kind of that the map is always reappearing with us in whatever way. It can be abstract, imaginary, concrete, but there is a kind of thing towards which or to which we are all also related, and that we are creating it together. And I think that's something what also is a common at the end, even if it's not presupposed. We know what are the conditions, but it comes then from the practice,
And maybe just to say that there is a certain dynamic when working in such a way, which is more, we can call it, it's never about something or never about somebody. It's really about us, like what we can create. So this imposes or it proposes a different type of responsibility, a different type of authorship, authority, you know, because we are basically creating something together. We have nothing to prove. We are just, I think, learning from each other. So I think it's quite a wonderful frame for researching and learning, in which there is a lot of solidarity, there is a lot of care, there is a lot of support, you know, and also the terms are being, it's almost like, I don't know, there is some kind of flux of ideas, you know, and and if we imagine that all of our presences are some kind of streams, so those streams are coming together in this one flux, and it is going in a kind of circular way, a little bit like the cars here, because we were studying, you know, the type of the mountains, the rocks that we meet here, and this is like this really, very circular way of the questions are
and
coming and going.
As well.
Yes, exactly.
And I think it also encourages people to just listen and to just go with the flow. There is no, like Ivana said, there is no goal. There is no something from the outside that you have to do it like that. There is something very. I think there is a lot of freedom, but freedom inside these limitations of where we are, how we are. So I think that's also very, very beautiful. Like. Yes, of course, you can go in every directions, but at the same time, these directions are always rearranged among us. And this is like by example, in these actions or steps back on our way, we did this kind of summoning together, assembling together to watch a specific situation, to listen, and so on. And I think there is really this kind of I can go actually everywhere, but at the same time I have the responsibility to actually bring these people together. And that I think is very important also for the participants, because it's really part of also of performance practice. We are continuously doing that. No?
Yeah.
Of course, there are a lot of conventions, how the people are coming into space, but I think there is still a lot of ways how we can play with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Where we are, how we are,
yeah.
in the place we are, and
Yeah.
where do we want to be, right?
Yeah.
That there is this, with the word mending, it kind of points to a future that
To a
would be
future,
better.
yeah. But from the perspective of here, no? It's really not to jump now. It's mending. It's a very difficult, how to say. It can also be a kind of a science fiction, but it has to start from the moment of now, no? Because it has something also very handy. There you have to engage with what is there. It's impossible otherwise. Like it can be abstract what is there. It can be a thought. It can be a poem.
Actually, this notion of future, more as a portal or as a kind of a trigger to start imagining now. Together, you know?
Yeah.
Because the idea of future is that we cannot see it. So it's a sort of invisible. And what is beautiful about this idea of invisible is what is not visible, you have to imagine it, you know? You have to, and then when you start imagining it, you can also imagine it with the idea of who do you imagining it for? Like only for yourself, or also for those around you, or those who watch, you know? So a lot of principles of writing, of performance, of listening are coming through also these very simple questions. And also another thing that we are always trying to do is that we work with very, very few resources. We work with the minimal resources we need to have in order to start a process of imagination, or in order to create, let's say, performative formats, or the map, or, you know. So use what's around. We are not trying to make anything that's spectacular. We are, you know, really going. So in that sense, it's it is, in a way, quite an ecological way of, you know, thinking. It's an ecology of gaze, ecology of gesture, and I think this gives us a lot of ideas, because it is what you were saying. Like, it's not that we can do everything. You know, today I think we have so much, and but if we concentrate on like 2 or 3 things, you know, like it's much easier to collectively search for sense. And I think it's also somehow liberating, and it's also very encouraging, you know, in these days when resources are lacking more and more, that with, you know, very few that we have, with a little bit of listening, common sense, caring, solidarity, you know, and taking time together, we can really create something quite, quite strong. Like,
I wonder, because you come from different backgrounds, although you know each other for a long time, I know, but so you are used to deal with different discursive practices. Maybe Bojana more in tune with the academy, maybe you more in tune with curatorial practices and artistic production practices. How do you see yourselves complementing each other in this project? Why did you decided to do this together?
In this practice, again, we actually, as you said, we know each other for a long time. We are also friends, and we have this complicity through our lives. So it wasn't like a project where I am, you know, giving a job to an expert in dramaturgy. Not at all. I think we have a lot of things in common. We were born in the same country. We have been, for example, doing our studies, like both of us studied comparative literature in different universities, but you know, there is also this way of, I don't know, analyzing, thinking, all that. And our roads were really like overlapping and getting together through many things, like I think the topics we were interested in, the methods we were interested in, also our conditions, like being foreigners, both of us, where we are working, being mothers, being a lot of things. Very concretely, also is like we were also seeking opportunities to work together as a way to spend time together, because we would not have time, to meet, because we all had very busy schedules. But then we also thought, like, okay, if we work together, then we also spend time together, and so all of this, and very concretely also because this first proposition came from Ljubljana, and it was in the beginning just a carte blanche, and to me, and then I was thinking I would like to do something with Bojana, because it's, Bojana is from Slovenia, speaks Slovene, but not only because of this. It's all of those things that I told you before,
Yeah.
And that's how we started, and we created the whole thing together from the scratch. At that moment, Bojana just finished her book on lines of care. I was busy with this idea of repairing and caring, also in one of my performances that I just have premiered or something like this. So it was, I think,
it's
that place that...
I think we are continuous in, we are friends, but we are also continuous in conversation. Like, it's really, and this is also the way how we work. It's not, we don't have specific tasks or what somebody does or not. Of course, it's very organic. And what is also very beautiful in our work is that we, and I think this is also why we are friends and we have these many affinities, because we continuously challenge each other. So we know how to really challenge, how to really ask, how to go far, but at the same time we trust each other very much.
Yeah.
So I know that there is something, I don't know, there is this fundamental trust that you can experiment, you can go further, and we are always very transparent about that. Like also when we work in the group with people. So we don't have a kind of, something behind the studio, but it's part of our method also how to work with people. And I think this is also, for me, very important to encourage collaboration, because people can also experience that we collaborate.
Absolutely.
It's not that we come prepared and you do that, but we really try to work together and to also throw us sometimes into a problem together or whatever. And I think I found this the most important part also when you collaborate with other people. So,
And also, always to listen to each other, to support each other, but also to challenge each other. Like we are sometimes, we are not really agreeing, but then we are kind of teaching each other almost. Like, and also what I often say to Bojana is like when we are together, her presence, her being there makes me fearless. It's almost like, it's like you are on the edge of the cliff. If I would be alone, I would not jump. I would be too scared, But with her holding hand, I'm fine. I'm sure it's going to be okay. We'll land fine,
The same for me.
And that's so, that's very... very beautiful and very encouraging, and also after so many years of working, because both of us are doing what we are doing for 25, 30 years, this is very, very refreshing.
Yeah, and as a participant in the last 5 days, I could feel that, of course. And we talk a lot about finding a common, and the thing is that we see the common in yourselves, right? We see where the practice began. We can kind of see that. That's very beautiful. I don't know. We take a while until now. I was wondering if you have something to say for people that were not here. Maybe, I don't know if you can imagine, for instance, if you imagine the map that you built being displayed for newcomers, what impact that could raise with those people? I don't know, something that you wanted to say to people that were not here.
I think we were saying all of this for people who are not here, because
Yeah,
here
exactly,
there is
exactly.
only
Or maybe
there's
something
only
more
two
specific.
people that are close to the camera there.
Yes.
Hello, and you. And other than this, So I think we. But maybe I'm sorry, I was just joking a bit. But what I think that I don't know. The interesting question would be, how is this map that we have developed with everybody participating in this research or in this lab, how it could be read for the people who have not have the experience of walking, have the experience of these 5 days. And I think it's in the core of when we were thinking about the map. We were thinking that this format has to also speak. It has to be eloquent. It has a syntax. It has a very specific form. And we worked with this notion of the road, so translating the journey onto a map. The road has been drawn by all the people who walked it. So you have, I don't know, like 12, 13, 15, I don't know how many, like 15 lines, so to say. And this is creating, let's say, not only the size of the road, but also different threads, of making the line with a pen, which could be metaphorically translated as a way that we walked individually this road, but altogether it creates the sense of road, which really also looks like a river. And here we have tried to kind of think about some kind of an archive which will remember the actions of repairing, the actions of mending that we have done. And so we worked a lot through language as well. We tried to find poetic names for this action or this attention, or this, we call them punctum as well. And so we try to also represent this multiplicity of different articulation of what was that we experienced together, what was there be mended. And so we started to make some kind of spatial poems with writing those articulations, threading them together. And then this map suddenly started to also enter in the space and is creating a new landscape. And I think when somebody who has not at all been with us, like coming into that landscape, will certainly feel or understand something of our experience. And this is already something that's quite interesting.
Yeah, and at the same time, it's an invitation to experience the place or the trail in a different
way. Yeah, of course, because with this experience, if you enter, you can really, there are many possibilities, but at the same time, it also shows a kind of what I like also very much is this kind of very imaginative, multiple experience of the place. And this is really a connection to the place in a very hopeful way. There are so many different multiverses which are possible of how we relate to the place through which we walk. And that's very far away from a kind of flat interpretation or how we are actually coming to the space and walking the path and so on. So I think that can work quite well also with the people who would come and read and getting lost also in it maybe.
And I forgot, maybe you know it. How long is the trail?
I don't know. I think the distance, I don't know.
It's written 1 hour on the information
Which means
desk.
that it's probably around 6 kilometers.
Yes,
because
maybe.
One
like
says
that,
that a human
coming and going.
5, 6,
which is not a lot, But what is really great is that this walking it every day. Actually, it feels like it's the same place, but it's every time another place. And there is another layer, another strata, another... And I think this is what you're talking about when you talk also about this multiplicity or the multiverse or something like that. And then there is also like those different ways of, let's say, interpreting or being in the material or being in the, you know, for example, when we are walking it together as a group, we all have a different way of understanding each other as a group. We all have different sensations, but we are somehow together. When we make those actions, somebody has an idea, which is translated in a form that can be performative and very simple. We are all having different idea of what they are doing. So we are creating, again, some kind of mending. And then from there, we are transposing it in sentences, which is also individual, and talk about different possibility of mending it through language, you know. And this is kind of getting accumulating, you know, and it gets a texture which is almost like a poem that somebody who reads also interprets in another way. So all these layers is a type of collaboration and a type of common. All of this creates a common. And we have been working a lot on the articulation of that. And hopefully also in the map that we created, this is kind of, this is present, you know.
And it's a common, it's open because it can integrate more and more layers.
We can add,
whenever,
we can also
and can change over time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But you also sense that it's something that is very cared about, that is very thought of. It's not at all random. It's like in nature, you know, like you feel that you don't understand a lot of it, but you kind of trust that everything is there for a reason. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And this is also something that we have felt a bit during this week, as a kind of the feeling that we were on the right place and the right time. You know, that we were somehow managing to gather attentions and listenings and and this felt very rich.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
And thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you.
And thank you. Okay.
Good.
That was very nice.
Super.
Yeah. Very easy to do this with you.
You hardly had anything to say. We were like,
I knew. I just wanted to push some buttons and then see what happened.
Yeah, it's good, you know, to do this because otherwise, very nice.
Yes.